Welcome to the Journey of Now with myself, Claris.
And Nick.
And together we run our practice called the Journey of Now.
A blend of bespoke coaching, human design, and medicine for the soul.
So this season we're focused on a non-BS approach to spirituality, self-development, and expansion of the self in the most holistic and sustainable ways possible.
Helping you cultivate presence, step into your power, and dive into possibility. Welcome to your Journey of Now. Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in again to the Journey of Now Season 2. Today we have a beautiful guest, Sara, who was actually the guide, the facilitator for our most recent escapade, the Kambo ceremony. We are just going to explore a little bit of who Sara is and how she came across this medicine and what's really brought her into doing this and sharing this incredible gift with the world. Just really excited to dive in.
Hi Nick, hi Claris, thank you so much for welcoming your space. It's been great to connect with you guys as well and see your family dynamics and just get to know you better, and so honored to be in your podcast, so thank you so much.
Sarah's been with us the whole day and it's been fun. I feel like we've just been eating and talking the whole day, which has been incredible. I feel very nourished by that. So
just like you said, it's been a podcast the whole day.
It has been.
Yeah.
So it's been wonderful to really be in. I don't even feel like it's just conversation. We spoke about. I feel like it's almost having being in a communion with someone, being fully seen, allowing someone else to also be fully seen. And all that I was saying, it was like when you're in communion with someone, it's very beautiful to be seen and feel seen, and also allow that other person to express their full selves. And it's been wonderful to have that today, so thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow. I was really wanting to have you on the podcast today, just because because we both shared our stories on Instagram, and there were so many questions about Kambo and the medicine and what it is, and it was such a profound journey for me, even up until I shared yesterday. There were still layers of it that unraveled. And it's been, 2 weeks since the ceremony? A week? 2 weeks?
Between a week and 10 days maybe.
Okay.
Or so.
But it's a very intense, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's okay.
Yeah.
So, I'd really love for people to, what is Kambo, and how did you find your way to that medicine? And also, firstly, who are you? That's my thing.
I come from Spain, but I've been traveling the world now for 7 years, a full cycle where I've chosen now to stay in South Africa. Nomad years, I think, are coming to an end, and rooting here. As I say, the frog and the toad feel very happy here, and I'm also very happy. So my journey started 7 years ago, hitting rock bottom, like many people. Yeah. So I chose to really awaken in trauma. So I come from a background of a lot of drug addictions, especially designer drugs. My family is also not spiritual at all. I come from a background of Mallorca. It's an island, it's touristic, so it's all about tourism and making money, and everything is very superficial.
Yeah.
And I lived in Singapore for 3 years, where I met my ex-husband. He taught me a lot. We both started to question things together, but I was in a place where nothing could stop me. I loved my life. I loved my drugs, and I was like, nothing's going to stop me. This is what I like to do. But something did. The universe and oneself creates things very wisely to shake things up. And I had a very traumatic breakup, in a way, separation. And I remember I got back to Mallorca, and my friends were like, "Oh, no worries, it's come, let's just go and party." And something was like, I'm so done with this. I'm so done, because I was like heartbroken, I had no money, my physicality was really weak, everything was just really in a bad space, and I had a friend at that time in Singapore who, his mood was always good, and he didn't take drug with us, he would take mushrooms, and something in me when I was like really, really just broken, and I was like, I need to do that plant. I need to do that plant that my friend took, that you shit and you vomit at the same time. And I was like, what is it with ayahuasca? So I ended up coming on my own to Africa, for all places, in Gambia. Did twice ayahuasca, and it was very clear. It was like, stop taking drugs right now if you want things to change. And I got out of those two ceremonies, which were really difficult, because I was so blocked that it felt like I was going to explode. It was really difficult, and of course a lot of fears, and what am I doing, to completely stop drugs after 15 years of consuming mostly every weekend to get to nearly every day.
Wow.
I was consuming everyday drugs, and I stopped. The thing is, after a few months, I started to do exercise and get in better rhythms. I took ayahuasca again, and somebody spoke about Kambo, and my whole being was like, what is that? I need to do that. I just knew it. I was so determined that I was working at that time in a hotel reception, 5-star hotel, nothing to do with who I am right now. And I would go on my day off. I would fly to Barcelona and take Kambo, have an hour and a half process with my face completely deformed, It was not even a frog. It was like it was run over. That frog was run over. And I had what happened that I understand now is that ayahuasca removed the root cause of my addiction, but Kambo cleansed my body, the vessel. So then I had a full-blown Kundalini awakening, and I was able to connect fully, because it was needed. Like, the toxins of those drugs were still in my being, and it needed to be released. So then my facilitator at that time was a soul brother for me right now, and he said, have you considered to facilitate Kambo? And I was like, well, I work really well with the frog. I like the frog, but at that time I had no clue about what it was to be serving a medicine, or I was just at the very beginning. But how things are that a few months later, everything unfolded. Everything just opened up for me thanks to that Kambo. And I started to travel the world, ended up in Peru. And I didn't know anybody, but 2 days later I was in Iquitos, that I bumped into my facilitator that was Apechima at that time. And he said, would you like to meet the Maat tribe? Because out of all times, the chief has sent me a message saying he's in Iquitos and he would like to have breakfast with us. Would you like to join? I was like, I would love to. And then he just offered me, would you like to come and learn Kambo? Just buy us some hooks, some machetes and rice, and you're welcome to stay with us. And I ended up living with the Maat tribe for a while.
That's crazy.
Yeah, just very naturally, very organically it happened. It transformed my life, and that's what I knew. I was like, if I'm able to be where I'm at thanks to Kambo, I want to facilitate this one day and help others. And it's not the easiest medicine, but the benefits I've got out of it are outstanding. I mean, I still get amazed about what it does for me.
So what does the training look like though? So you got there, and then what did your life look like? What is the process? How does that actually?
So living with the tribe, the Maat tribe is very different from the ones in Brazil. Maat tribe in Peru are very warrior hunters, so they're very grounded. They don't speak much, They just live it. Kambo for them is like, Kambo. The shaman of the tribe, he was a very skinny guy, very charismatic, very funny. Everybody would he would speak only Maatsis language, and everybody just laughed with him. You could see there was something about him that was special, and he was full of dots all over his chest, everywhere, like hundreds of dots, the scarring of Kambo. And he would just, make a big spit on the Kambo stick, just spit on it, shake it while he's joking and apply it on you, and you would just be dying there on the ground. Kids would be laughing at you. People romanticize tribal living. They're simple. They just are. And they use Kambo for children. That's when it really opened my mind.
I read up on that. That was insane.
I was with little children. Rachel, she was 4, and she explained to me that she asked for Kambo when she was 3, and she explained to me that she was getting dizzy head and that she purged and she felt good. So they use it because the environment there is very hostile, and children tend to, if they get sick often, or they're very lazy, they're sleeping a lot, or they're very whiny, they give them Kambo. For women, pregnancy, they trust so much in it that if they're pregnant, they want to check if the baby is strong or it's a strong pregnancy. They give them Kambo, and if they lose the baby, they were like, okay, there was not a strong pregnancy. So they don't have that attachment to it, right? They can even figure out what's the sex of the baby with a Kambo ceremony.
Even with my 4-year-old Makeo, when Nick was doing his ceremony, and when he got there, he immediately wanted to know about the frog. He was so curious, and he sat there with, you've got the frog.
Yes, yeah.
And he sat there, and he was like, I want to do the frog medicine. And like I said, he's got some health issues. He's got that cyst on his thyroid. So, there's a few like endocrine issues and things like that. So it's interesting that he's drawn to that medicine. And he has some other like health issues along the way. But just to like know that he's like, okay, I want to, I'm willing, I'm able. But there's also a part like he's so fully ready to like do it in like February versus like my eldest. He was like, no, I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah, that's the agreement we have in the Kambo facilitation world is as long as the child asks for it for their own will, it's fine. And I have facilitated children, and you can see how Kambo also works differently on them. Their processes are different. They can hold themselves. There's no fear. It's kind of like they still can purge, but the process is gentler. Kambo knows that it's a child. Wow. Yeah. And so talking about your question with the training, after the work that we did there, and being in connection with the frog, because they brought the frog down so we could be with the frog, because the frog lives like 30 meters up in these high trees. So they call it, comes down, and I was able to have it in my hands. And that was really powerful because I really don't think I've ever had such a Zen animal in front of me. It was Zen. That's the energy I can say. It was like total peace. Because it also doesn't hop, it walks, and it's not afraid of humans. So when I had it, I realized that, I get it. So it has no fight or flight mode in its system because it has no predators. Any animal that tries to eat Kambo, it will spit it out because it has a Kambo experience. So it has no fear of death. And that energy enters in us. That's why people, when you work with Kambo, you have less fears, and especially to enter in another ceremony, like maybe ayahuasca or mushrooms, you will always be much more open, less fear, less resistances. So you embody that. And then the thing is, I started to work on myself. After that experience in the jungle, I started to apply on myself to lose fear of sitting alone with Kambo, and it taught me a lot. The medicine itself taught me a lot. I also remembered. It felt like I was remembering. But after a few years, my work was expanding. And
how long were you there for, by the way?
I was there around 3 weeks.
Wow.
That's a long time.
In the jungle.
It
is.
That's very different.
It's very different.
You probably don't even realize the amount of time that's passing.
And it's very hostile. There's what we suffer here of mosquitoes and flies. This is a joke compared to be living in the jungle. It's very extreme. The heat, the humidity, and I would go with the kids. The kids taught me a lot. I would say they were my best allies. They would show me some of the language, how to go to the Amazon River and wash the dishes, but also be aware of if any crocodiles are coming close. They would teach me all of these things, how to go and collect yucca. So it was also one of the things that I learned there that I think I had reconnected was this shaman, when he would take us to look at for herbs, healing herbs, and he would say, this herb, that is for this thing. He was like, "You wearing sandals?" And I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, if you want to connect with nature, you need to know how to walk in nature. And he's like, because you people from the cities can come, some people come very unbalanced and nature attacks them. Meaning that because to recalibrate and rebalance, they would get bitten by a snake or a spider or all the flies, or they would trip and fall. So
such an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, so that's where I started to practice to walk on wild nature barefooted. Wow. And now for me, it's, you just lose, it's like you naturally know where to step. Yeah. That was really powerful too. So I think that's one of the gifts that it really opened my mind to the reality of being in tune with nature.
I resonate with that so much because a couple of years ago, I had a similar epiphany or awakening with that, and I would just be like, I can't wear shoes anymore. Because going on like construction sites all the time and wearing these thick boots, you're just so disconnected, and your feet are swollen, and then you walk and your feet, they become like soft, and you don't know what feels right, it's like you really are not on the pulse of the earth.
I mean, if you even looking at it from like the home space, one thing I have wanted for years was a house with wooden floors, and it's so great that we've got this place now and it's got wooden floors everywhere, but just to be able to connect, and you feel a lot more even in your home space, having some like natural elements, I think it's an amazing practice to like not wear shoes, But I also wanted to say with Kambo, my experience was I felt like it was a very deep initiation on the path of the warrior. And so when you speak about it removes the fear of other medicines. For me personally, it was a thing of removing fear of anything per se. That night before, I was in so much fear. I just said to Nick, fuck this. I am not doing this. I'm so scared. I'm going to die. And I didn't want to do it. And then I was like, I've committed, and I can't just say I'm pulling out now last minute, because then karma is going to get me, and we just made friends. And so I was like, okay, fine, I'm in. But it was very much the thing of, if you can sit in that discomfort, if you can breathe through that, if you can face that, then there's not, what else is there? If you can, it's not like I'm like a little bit nauseous, so I'm vomiting a little bit. It's that like extreme, like it's nausea, it's the heat, it's the waves, it's the sensation of like things being put, it's very uncomfortable. It is like
divine discomfort, I call it. But I always say it's a very warrior medicine. They literally use it to go and hunt, because they go 3-4 days and they can't eat much, or they have to sleep in the wild, and Kambo helps them to have resilience, focus, clarity. They don't need to eat much. I remember my first Kambos, because I had so much toxicity in my body, and then finally my body was clean. I felt like a superhuman at that time. I didn't sleep much, I didn't eat much, I was going to the gym, and I was doing things that I haven't done it was a struggle before. So, that also, of course, to maintain that level is not realistic, because I was in a very clear, and it was the first time, ever.
No, sure, yeah.
But it showed me what humans we're capable of in a ultimate state of being.
Were you doing it every day?
The Kambo?
Yeah.
No, it was. I had one a week for 3 times. I'm glad I did it. I don't. I recommend, but I don't tell to everybody you have to do it the 3 times. But I'm glad I did because I got a lot out of it. So it's like opening a process. First time Kambo goes into your body, it's like chaos. Oh my God, what's this? And the body starts cleaning. It's like, what's going on? The second time, the body's like, oh, you again. Let's work together. And on the third one, it goes way deeper because there's already a relationship happening. So I felt that. Definitely.
As you were, talking about the warrior aspect, I find that before, even during the process, it's, well, speaking from a first-time experience, it's kind of like you see how you are at war with yourself. And when you can stop fighting with yourself, then there's that symbiosis, that homeostasis, that kind of like that equilibrium that forms. And it's like, hey, we're all on the same team here. We're just trying to clear everything. And the minute I had that switch, even the vomiting stopped. I mean, I still recall you did the rapé on me, and I didn't vomit after that. Like and I was like, no. And it wasn't that I was resisting it. I could feel the difference. It was just like the click happened, and I was like, the body was like, it's fine. You're good. But you can sit with it in your system. That's okay. And it's just, for me, it came across like the more that you are fighting and struggling with yourself, the more ferocious this medicine becomes, because it's meeting that resistance the whole time.
Exactly.
I think your process of letting go and honoring the things and letting them pass, like that's something that you've been working with, especially over the last couple of years. And that's something I feel I'm still deeply in the process of learning a new language.
Your bucket says so.
Hey, my full bucket of vomit, it did.
The bucket never lies.
I was showing him the video, he's like, that's a full bucket. I was like,
You ever go that in the middle of a ceremony?
Listen,
we need to come back next week.
No, I just get fascinated I never thought I would be fascinated by what's
purging. What's in your bucket?
I didn't know. Sometimes I just look and I'm like, oh my God, can I take a picture of that one? Do you mind? No, because some of them is like, it tells stories.
Yeah.
And I've even seen organic, let's call them parasites, but organic little aliens jump out of people's mouths. Like it's crazy what comes up. But that's why I like this process, okay? Because it's very physical, but you're able to process deep rooted trauma or information that's ready to let go of in a very safe way. Meaning the person is also very aware of what is coming out at a real time out of their mouth, the taste, the color, the smell. And some people are like, oh my God, I've been doing this to my body. Yeah, that's the first thing I get a lot. And it is a big click, a big awakening, like you say, and people start to take care more of themselves, because Kambo is not the magical pill, even though it's very close, but there's a percentage that is up to the person. And when they realize what is coming out of their bodies, they get motivated to like, oh my God, I'm going to start taking care of myself.
That's power, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an incredible realization for anyone to have, especially if they've never ever looked at themselves or what they're actually doing to the body on a day-to-day basis. So you have your 3 weeks now. You're done. What then? What's the next steps? Where does the path lead?
I lived in Peru for 3 years on and off. So I was also dieting. I did ayahuasca diet. I dieted tobacco, which I am very grateful for. So I was also working very deeply with the trees. I was going to kind of go into the initiation of tabaquera, which is, there's the ayahuasquero and then there's the tabaquero, but the tabaquero is a dieta of 12 trees. And in the middle of it, I realized like, whoa, this is a lot. This is serious stuff. Yeah. And at that time, I wasn't at the level of spiritual or, let's say, human maturity that I am at now.
Is that more intense than ayahuasca, the tabaquero?
The initiation, I would say so, but it's very different. It's kind of like you go into a trance. You work a lot in the dream space. Tobacco is, they say, very close to, like, the tradition says that to learn to first you have to learn to walk on this earth before and have deep roots before you want to go up high in the sky. So it's kind of, it works very much in the body, but you do go into trance states. It's a week in isolation, and you eat very little, and you drink when sunset, and then you process the whole night. Yeah. So it's but I something in me was like, whoa, this is a lot right now. Like, where is my soul putting me? You know, this is serious. And one thing that I asked myself is like, but does this resonate with me? Because that means being in a house where people come and diet, but I'm always in this house. People come to me. And I was like, no, I'm a frog. I move, I'm playful, I'm brave. I like to move around. This is me. And that's what lit me up. And I was like, no, my path is Kambo. My path is a frog. And I facilitated myself for, like I say, 6 months myself to learn through it. And, because also through experience, I always say this, the most important wisdom for me is like through experience, because then nobody can make me doubt, because I've been through it. You know, if you read something, somebody can tell you, well, but maybe that's not true. You know, you're like, oh, actually, but through my experience, I know very well what Kambo does. I know all the stages of Kambo. And like I was saying, then my work was expanding and other things were happening. So because I was ready, right? So Kambo may seem very like a violent purge, or things can happen, like people can faint, or they can have a rigor, which is totally normal if you know what you're doing, or you know the medicine, or you know how to act. But at that time I was like, whoa, these things are happening. I need to learn more. It's like any profession, no? You have to constantly be renewing yourself. And then I found the IAKP, which is the International Association of Kambo Practitioners. That at that time, when I found out about it, I was like, yeah, that's what I need, which was a more westernized approach of Kambo. It's an organization that had your back as a facilitator. So I went into this training, which was 2 weeks. We were about 15 of us from many different parts of Europe, and you're in isolation in a house, and you take Kambo one day yes, one day no, and they build you up, and that's when that training is designed to have like contraindications present, safety, psychology. They said, we're gonna go for your biggest fears and limiting beliefs, so you don't project them over your clients. So they could read you, and they were like,
to that, eh?
Yes. And then they were like, Kambo knows what you resist the most, so you bet you're going to go through it. The examples would be, there was somebody who was very, very afraid of dying. Well, she fainted. She had like a whiteout that you completely see the white light. Because, but how interesting, how intelligent the medicine is, that then the one that was applying to her, he had a trauma where somebody nearly died in his arms, and he had to do first aid, and he had to repeat that in training, but to remove the fear. So the medicine knows who it puts with who.
Yeah.
And I, for example, was very afraid of receiving happy in Kambo. I was like, oh, I'm doing that. Like, that sounds terrible. And I had to have it, didn't I? Because I had to experience it. If I cannot do something to somebody if I haven't had to go through it. And then they did an initiation to remove any fear of death with the medicine. So they calculate your maximum, and from there you have to have that maximum within less than 2 hours. So I had to have 39 dots in an hour. I had it in an hour and a half, and I understand what it does. You completely become one with Kambo, and people tell me, how can you remain so calm? How can you be in such a chaos? I'm like, because I know if you do it right, if you listen, if you're humble, practicing with the medicine and listen to the medicine and observe the person, nobody has to die. Nobody's going to die. And you know that no matter what, and also I know all the stages, right?
What is, just out of interest, what is the difference in intensity?
Just for context, like I had 3 dots and Nick had 4 dots, and it was the most fucking intense physical experience I've had. And you've had 39.
Yeah.
So what is it? What is the difference?
Did you have it all at once?
So we've already been having like for a week, mostly one day yes, one day no dots, right? So I was in my maximum was 11. But I've been already receiving Kambo very frequently.
Okay.
Still saying that it's let's say it has kicked my butt many times. But sometimes been like, why I'm doing this? I'm never doing this again. So I'm also been there. It's not that so at 11, right? And so they were opening all the gates in my arm, and I was crying. I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to do it. And then they come and they applied the 11 dots, so I went through a strong process, but I had energy, so I laid my head on the ground, and in 5 minutes I got up and I said, let's just do this, let's get on with this. Because I think here the biggest struggle is the mind, knowing that you have to go through 2 more of those processes and more medicine. You don't even want to think about that.
They don't wipe it off, I assume. No, they're just adding.
They're
so
just
stacking
adding
on.
Yeah. So then they put 13, and then I had a very vulnerable moment where
so 11 plus 13.
Yeah. So I was completely like just so vulnerable. I was crying, but it was just a surrender, full surrender.
So you're still vomiting at this point?
Yeah. And 2 more liters again. Yeah. So it's 2 liters process. Other 2 liters.
Your poor parasites, if you had any, would have given up.
Yeah. And it was very powerful because I entered into a state where I felt like a cornered animal. And the very interesting thing, like the medicine is very intelligent. It's going to work on something you need. And I was being facilitated by 2 men, and they were telling me what to do, to drink, and I wanted to punch their face. I was like, do not tell me what to do. And then I realized, and I went, Kambo, what's this about? And Kambo's, the voice was, you don't like male authority. Something happened. A male authority told you what to do. You don't like it. And I understood. I was like, oh. And then I started purging. I just purging. And then they were telling me what to do. I was like, okay, you want me to drink water? I'm fine. The resistance was gone. And then I laid for 15 minutes, and I just got up and I said, let's get on with this. And I got 15 dots more.
15 dots more. Oh.
And then they went the whole thing. And I went into a trance state for a moment where I just felt amazing. And I was like, I could have Kambo all day. The fact of having 50 or 100 dots did not bother me. So that's where I think I had that rite of passage, that portal, that breakthrough. And since then, yes, my relation is, if I may have insecurities as a human being, but I have absolutely zero with my relationship with the frog.
I feel like the frog gave up at that point. This is like, I'm done, I'm tired. I've poisoned you enough, I can't.
You know, I was just thinking, you were talking about like what it tastes, you know, when you're moving through the different levels of things. In the beginning, it's like when that vomit is very clear, it doesn't taste much. You just taste water and a little bit of bile. But like as you go into the deeper levels of things, like when you put that 3rd dot on, and when, as you mentioned, it was like the ancestral stuff that came out, all I tasted, it was the most vile taste in my mouth. And when I looked, it was like very, very dark stuff in there. And it's just interesting that you were mentioning like the taste of it. So what does it taste like after 39 drops? I mean, is there a difference in like...
Yeah, it's acidic. It's acidic. Okay. The older it is, the more acidic it is in the body, the more it's going to cause a disease, right? So it was acidic, yeah. But to be honest, right now I can't fully remember that. I just remember the breakthrough, and it brought so much. It's I would say that sometimes I've had it depends what comes out. If it's chemicals, if it's like heavy metals, but I like to say that it's the bitterness that we hold inside.
No, I love that perspective. Okay, so you've had your initiation, you've done the 39. I also just wanted to say for everybody listening, like when you meet teachers who are in integrity with the medicine that they offer, it is very far and few these days because everybody is doing plant medicine, everybody is holding mushroom ceremonies, but without really the sacredness of what they're doing. And as soon as I got onto the phone with you, and as soon as Layla mentioned, like, she was like, oh, Sarah, she mentioned like 2 sentences, and my body was like, okay, I can trust this, and I can trust you. Like, I've never met anyone who, well, I mean, like, you meet very few people who really live so much in harmony and in integrity with the medicine that they not only offer but live. So it was really beautiful to experience that. Like, there was nothing in me that didn't trust that it didn't matter what was going to happen, whether I projectile shut myself there, everything would be fine.
I like to say that one of the things I observe in a facilitator or shaman, or whatever you want to call it, shaman is a big word, but let's say facilitator in this case, is, do they embody the medicine? Yeah. You know, I really see most of my friends is like, oh, she's mushrooms, or he's mushrooms, she's a frog. You can really feel it on the person. And I think that's that we go back to the relationship. Is there a relationship? Because if one thing I speak about is like, I call them my lovers, because there's nothing more intimate than they're in you. They know everything about you. And if you listen to them and be humble, they will take care of you. So they will guide you just like your lover should. Like, it wants the best for you, right? Yes. So, and also you delivering what their technologies that have been put here by nature. You know, they come through nature, created by nature to bring balance. And there's nothing better than holding them in integrity and transparency, and also to embody those lessons that these medicines bring. No, you feel it on a person. Are they very rigid? Are they straightforward? Do they look at you in the eyes? Do they have an open chest? Exactly what you say? How does your body feel with this person when they speak? So it's not been an easy journey. I'm going to tell you that it's not an easy medicine, but I the passion I have, and I just believe in it 200%. And I know what it does. I know how it works, and I know it works.
I mean, like I said to you earlier today about the difference between a healer and a shaman, and I very much feel that this is a shamanistic part that has to do with like that death energy you mentioned. It's not a love and light experience unless you get to like 30, 40 dots on you, which I don't think like everybody is going to go in willingly, but to be able to really look that death energy in the eye, and to be able to wear that warrior suit without it being an armor of resistance. Instead, you walk with it in surrender. The lessons you learn in that journey are things that you will carry with you for the rest of your life. And I think that's what also makes it so transformative. And I also wanted to say, you said in the beginning of the ceremony that Kambo is your friend. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Okay, it's trying to kill me, but it's my friend. And before, when we started the ceremony and you put the dots on my arm, I spoke to you about it afterwards, but there was a scar there that looks like I've had
Kambo before, exactly like the Kambo burn there.
And when you put that microdose on, I saw the spirit of the frog there, and it was like, welcome back, old friend. And I was like, okay, I deeply felt very much more relaxed, instead of the story that my mind was saying that you're going to die, everything's fact, like you're going, like, and so it was like, okay, I can trust this, and whatever happens, I trust the person holding the ceremony, and I trust the medicine. And it did feel like a brotherly love, but I don't know, for me it felt like a very masculine medicine, but beautiful in its intensity. And there was a moment where my throat closed and I felt like I couldn't breathe, because my tongue was, it was just a second, and it was like looking it in the eye and going, okay, I can't breathe, just give it a second, trust the process of it. And as soon as it came, it also left.
Because that's the warrior energy. It's like connecting. It's kind of like makes you go through that, so that the algorithm, that warrior algorithm in the body wakes up. And I see that many times in people, like they come in and some of them are whiny or crying or they're very resistant, and then there's shift. It's like magic. You can see it in their faces. Their eyes open up, a realization, and then suddenly the process is so much easier. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes also, like I say, I've been in that vulnerable state where I couldn't be sitting up and holding me, but I was letting myself be vulnerable, but it's like the peaceful warrior. It's just allowing it. And I always say to people, what you live in this process, take it back in your life, because you will have Kambo ceremonies in your life, meaning challenges, and you can be like, okay, bring it on. I can do this, you know.
I had such an intense flare-up with my autoimmune, and it felt like the sensation of the autoimmune, it feels like a fire in my system. It's like this fiery itch that you can't think through, you can't talk through. But the thing with this autoimmune is if you scratch it, it spreads further and it makes your skin very thin. So it's like not something that you should be doing when you're scratching. And it was like, do you know what, if I could... and the thing that really got me through it was the Kambo ceremony. It was like, if I could face this, then I can breathe through this. Exactly. If I could center myself in that, then I can center myself in this.
Exactly.
And it was intense, but
yeah.
I mean, yeah. On the other side.
But also going back to your process, because I know, yes, it's intense, it's short. Like in the book of Kambo in My Soul, it says it happens fast, but it feels forever. So it literally does happen fast, because it's between 25 to 45 minutes maximum. And you have to endure that. But the benefits that come are pretty instant. And one of the examples is you were telling me suddenly 2 clients, like, you know, made their payments and things open up. And there's a lot of stories. And it's just because it opens all the channels of the energy are harmonized, and the energy is flowing, and the hearts, because it's a heart medicine. Physically, it makes the heart pump the blood, so that opens the heart, but energetically, it's opening up the heart, allowing the energy to flow through and good things to come, they say. It literally, in the jungle, they say it removes the panema, which is the black cloud that's around you, and doesn't let you see clearly or act clearly, and also it blocks from the flow.
If I think about, I mean, when we moved to Pled, we were staying in a place that had black mold everywhere, especially in the bedroom I was sleeping in. It was like, there was black mold all on the ceiling. And what black mold does is like this dark cloud, like you start feeling very heavy in your brain, like you don't feel like the same person. It's like there's this dark cloud there. And the first time that I really felt a difference was during the ceremony, and when I looked at what was coming out, it looked like mold spores.
I remember, yeah.
And I was like, okay. And that's why when Nick was like, how was it? I was like, good luck. But I was expecting him to have like this really, really intense like physical experience, and he was like, I was fine. It was like, it was intense, but like I was fine. And I was like, huh?
Yeah, every time it's different too. I've been taught that by Kambo, because I would do it regularly. I mean, there was a year where I did, I don't know, more than 30 Kambos in 1 year or something like that. And I got...
That sounds exciting.
Wow. That's where
this weekend.
That's where my ego kind of was like, I've got this, you know, because I could sit in my Buddha position, just vomit like very gracefully, but Kambo waited, and then one day he kicked my ass again, like showing me, do not take me for granted, and every single process is different.
Yeah.
And that put me back in my place, and I was like, thank you. So I know, you know, that's listen, and you will be taught and you don't need to get lessons if you've listened all the time, you know. So
that's the thing. Like you wake up. I mean, I live on the principle that you wake up a different person every single day. You're not the same person.
You've got
and
different energy.
You are connecting to this medicine as a different person. There's going to be different things arising in consciousness. There's going to be different layers that are possibly ready to unravel, because it's as much as forceful as Kambo may seem physically, it's not like it's ripping everything from you. It's taking what is ready to leave and what is not serving you.
There you go.
What is relevant in that now moment, be it that it's your intention or divine intention or divine intervention, whatever it may be. It's just that's what's being processed. So I know, like you said, I mean, yes, it wasn't like horrendous, but for me, most of the process was not throwing up part. It was the after bit. It was the compassion, and then because I got into like a fetal position in a way, and I held my legs, and I was literally sitting with myself in that space. Didn't want to move. That the body wanted that. That's what it wanted. That was more. That meant more than the throwing up part, because it felt like you're cleaner than you thought you were. But it's causing you to come back and ground yourself, like stay in this. This is the medicine that you need right now. So
and because the last parts of it, peptides in Kambo aid in the body being back in homeostasis.
Yes.
That's the state we are in the womb. So that fetal position
that
is
makes
being
complete sense.
Back.
Because you can feel like you want to become
and
like
it's a rebirth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like fully. It's just different way of processing it.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's amazing how you can have one medicine. And I mean, like you talk about mushrooms, you talk about ayahuasca, and everything's very up in the air and very vivid. But this, it's you're kicked. Like I explained to one of my friends, I said, it's like you've been kicked in the balls and like you've been living in your head. But the minute that happens, you're right back in your body, and that's all you can think about. It's the same thing.
Yes.
Like you're there, like you're present. You're like nothing else matters. The fact that you're holding your balls in that moment, it's literally just. That's where you are, and you can't be. You don't want to be anywhere. You can't be anywhere else. It's just that space.
That's why I've mentioned many times that I find it so important, Kambo, because it's one of the medicines that really brings you back into your body, and our consciousness don't want to be in our bodies because life is stressful, because traumatic things happen, and we tend to want to escape and check out, and even with medicines. But Kambo, there's no choice. You're going to be in your body, and you're going to feel your body. And people say, it feels like you're dying. I love to say, why don't you change that? And actually, your body's more alive than ever. It's pumping the blood, flushing, heat, cold. You feel in your body.
Yes.
It's alive. It's cleaning. It's clearing. It's detoxing. So you're more alive and more in your body than ever. And it's very needed. Then you can go to the others, medicines. But I feel that it's a very good portal to start because of that, because it brings you fully into your body.
It's almost like you can feel it going to every single cell, it's like this wave traveling through, and so I feel like it travels through like water. And you said that water is the conduit for Kambo. So it's like it feels like water, but like electrical water going through your system.
It's like a rush of light going through your body and clearing.
And I wanted to just say, I've got this book here, which is the sacred path cards. But basically, I love how they define what the difference between a healer and a shaman is. And I just wanted to read that quickly. But so basically, they just said that a shaman is a person who's willing to confront the greatest fears and shadows of physical life. A healer is a person who's able to use the forces of good medicine to effect cure in the body, mind, or spirit of another. The healer or curandero doesn't use the forces of the shadow to effect the cures. The shaman, on the other hand, is a healer who has gone into the underworld and has unflinchingly confronted his or her own shadow, as well as the evil of others, and can successfully deal with those forces of darkness equally used with those of light. So, I thought it was a very...
I really love that.
Yeah.
You have to send me that, please.
I will. You mentioned about how we all are shamans on some level, but to really deeply share and teach this medicine, you have to have walked on the edges and gone where no one else is going to go. And then, only then, are you able to hold that level of space for people. Because, like you said, if you don't understand how it's going to affect every aspect of a person, then how can you guide them through that?
Exactly. Yeah, and also going towards like people who have extreme stories like ourselves, and a friend of mine who's a Mexican shaman, she said that, Sara, how are you going to hold space for pain if you don't know pain?
Yeah,
you have to be like, oh, I know you, and I can hold you.
And it's interesting because in this book they speak about how most people who are shamans, in the first 7 years of their lives, they have very traumatic experiences that tear them, and it's meant for opening. If you look at, what's that quote by Rumi that said, the wound is where the light enters. And
True.
So I just thought it was a beautiful way to see it like that.
Tears them so more light can come in.
Yes. And we were speaking about your human design and how, with that gate 36, which you have and which I have as well, but as much as it comes with like a lot of trauma and the storm and like all of these things that just happen, and it's very deep and dark, you're also able to hold a deeper level of compassion for people without judgment. And it's active compassion. It's not, okay, I'm feeling a little compassionate to what you're moving through. It's like, I'm deeply here with you, but also not taking it on as your own.
Exactly.
So, and you wouldn't have learned that if you hadn't gone through what you went through.
I also feel that I'm just that. Yeah, of course, I serve the medicine. I have a relationship with medicine, and I hold space for the person to go through their own process. But I feel that I'm just that mirror of, you can do this. It's possible. And I hold that trust. When I'm in Kambo ceremony, I hold that trust in each and every person that is there. Even, I just spoke to Nathan, that was, I think it was in both of your processes, one holding space, and he was in process with you, Nick. And before he went into ceremony, he said, oh, I'm quite scared, Sara. I feel I'm going to faint. And I said, no, brother, you're a warrior. You can do this. And he just went, oh, yeah. So it just needed that reflection, that reminder of like, here is, you are a warrior. You can do this. You can do this. And that's what I hold in my ceremonies, is that you can do this. Many people they're in fear, and while they're process, they look up and they try to look for my gaze. And the first thing I do, I just like nod, like, you can do this. This is, you got this. You got this.
Do you know what the process reminded me of was the birth process, and it felt like you were like the doula of the soul at that moment, and it was like, I'm here with you, I'm honoring you. I can't do it. You have to do it.
I love how you explain.
But like, that's why I filmed it for myself. It's like, and I said to you then, it's like, okay, like how when you're giving birth, you don't want to see it and you don't want anyone touching you, but then afterwards, it's almost like, oh, you wish that you had seen it and seen yourself walk through that process. But it very much felt like birth. But even in birth, there's so much death energy. It's like a dying of that self. You will never be that same self again that you were before you gave birth to your child. You will always be a different version. So it's like that part of you almost has to die to give birth to another part of it. But to have the doula of the soul there, it's like, okay, let me reflect to you that you can do this. I honor you. The medicine honors you. It made it a very like a beautiful cathartic process, and it's exactly what you need, like when you need it. And I also just wanted to stress to everyone listening, with Kambo and any plant medicine, it's not the magic red pill. It's not the thing that's going to change your life. It's the actions how you've integrated the medicine in your life afterwards. Those are the things that matter. It's, are you changing and shifting the behaviors through the revelations that came through the channel of the medicine itself? Are you listening and honoring your intuition as it's speaking to you more clearly now that you have that clarity and you're clearer of body and of mind? it's not a thing of like, it's not your savior.
Exactly.
Your savior.
Yeah.
Just wanted to share.
Perfectly said. Yeah.
I was actually sitting and thinking about that the other day. And we talked about it. We touched on it.
Yeah.
I think I actually put it in the blog post as well. But it's like I'd even say you need to have done some work before you step into the container of with Kambo, with any plant medicine. Just get to know yourself a little bit, and like, you know, look at some of those dark parts and open a couple of doors where there's no lights on, and you step into the room and you're like, fuck, this is scary. Fuck, this is uncomfortable. Fuck, I don't want to be here, but I'm here now. Because you dive in, people dive into plant medicine. I know sometimes that's what you need to unravel, but at least you've got some idea of who you are before you step in. It's not like, oh wow, I'm actually carrying a briefcase, a black bag, and this and this and that. I have an idea of what's in my space, and this is what I'm going to work with today. Yeah. And I have no expectation of what the medicine's going to do. I just trust that it's going to open me up. And it's this thing of, you know, I think each medicine, it's either going to be bringing those things up, or it's going to be taking things away, and it's your responsibility to integrate it. Yes. Because it doesn't help that you go through the process and now your life goes on. Yes. It does go on. But just really looking at what was unpacked, what was taken, what was added, what was given back to you. What were you giving back to you in that process? Yes. And I just, whoever like delves into the stuff or has interest in this, just really ask yourself the question, like, are you willing to do the work before, during, and after? Yes. Because that's when the medicine is most powerful, when you are showing up for yourself.
Yes, yes. I like to sometimes, I check in on people. I can't check in very long term because I treat so many people. But there is a moment where I do remind them, like, you know, oh, where you're at, and they mention, I'm like, have you noticed that this has shifted? Did you notice that? Oh, actually not. Thank you, for letting me know. Or sometimes just a little reminder of where are you at right now. And because you can tend to forget as well. You go through this experience and you go back in life and
busy.
And then things have actually, subtle things or patterns are changing. But you already forgot. It's like, remember, I would say remember what you went through and take it with you. It's really important, that integration that you say.
I always say to my clients, it's little by little and then all at once. I feel like Kambo is like the all at once experience, but it's not that you haven't done anything before. Like, there were realizations, there were things, there were steps that like got you to where you are, where the medicine is now in front of you. But the magic doesn't happen with like angels singing and this big aha thing. It's like it happens in the mundane.
No, it happens when it's ugly, man.
I don't know. I mean, like you were talking about the integration process of people having all these realizations, and it's like these aha things. It's like it happens when you don't notice it. It's like it's happening while you're living your life.
Yes.
And it's not going to be this like big aha thing, because it's like it's the most natural thing to you, because it is you. It is the essence of who you are, and all that medicine and integrating and releasing the other stuff is connecting you back to the essence of who you are and releasing the stories that you've told yourself that you are. And so with anything, it's like when you learn to speak a language of not being safe in your body and not being safe in the world, that's not your native language. And now through the process of like understanding not just plant medicine, but like whatever medicine you resonate with, that's you relearning another language. But it takes practice, it takes you sitting in it, it takes you having the courage to speak to someone in that language, even if you're not 100% comfortable in it. And then eventually you're fluent. Like, So
because these medicines also shake things up. And it's like if you have you're a pond, and then whichever medicine you take, it's like takes a stick and stirs that pond up. Then all the water is like all muddy, and it's stirred up, and then it has to settle, and then there'll be less in the bottom. But things like it's opportunities, really. I mean, Kambo, for example, not only to me but other people, it's brought a pending conversation. Maybe a family thing that has to be spoken, and it will move things so it happens. And that's where you step in and be like, did you learn anything while you did Kambo or whatever other medicine? Because now it's the opportunity. I like to see it that way now, like when it's been really challenging, I was like, oh, but this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, if you see it that way, you're like, man, thank you. It's not easy, but man, it's an opportunity. And like you were saying, no, it's that refinement, that the muscle, the more you gain, now you're able to regulate yourself with the breathing when the trigger comes, because triggers are not going to go away. We're not becoming here, like we say, just a Buddha, like enlightened Buddha.
Yeah.
So those things are going to come, but we have the tools now, because we've gone through those death processes, to be like, oh, actually, wait, I can stop even just for a second and breathe and be okay. All right, how am I going to react to this now? Or if I already reacted, doesn't matter. How can I bounce back? And, if you've already reacted, and then there can be a conversation to be like, oh, actually, I'm aware of this. And that's already steps, right?
It's progress.
Yes, it's progress. And also to honor that change that the medicines are going to bring, because they're powerful and they will shake things up. But it's always for our best good, like the greater good of all. And even like what's happening right now in the world, one of the realizations I had during pandemic, it was like, I get it. This is like, it's coming. It's the global purge. This is like a global Kambo ceremony. So actually there's a lot of light that's rushing through, and it's bringing up everything to the surface, and it looks like it's at our worst, and actually it's our best, because it's the purge. And the ones, I always say that half of us will be in process and the others will be holding space, and then it turns the tables.
That's a nice way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
so we can hold space for each other. Yeah.
So I also wanted to ask, just from your experience, what would you say the benefits of Kambo are? And then the second part of that question would be, what have you seen Kambo treat? Mm-hmm. In terms of ailments or disease or just help process?
So benefits can be so many. I would say the minimum benefit you can get out of it is a very awakened immune system. So people have told me that it's been after Kambo, I heard after 4 years, no sickness. Others, what has happened is that there was actually a dormant, dangerous disease, and Kambo was able to bring it up to the surface, so it could be, they went to the hospital and they would realize that, oh my God, actually it was this what was happening. So it's a blessing in disguise in a way. And then it can go from mental clarity, focus, setting better boundaries, because your liver is more clearer, then it's filtering better the blood, and it's also the organ of action. So people have told me I've been able to have the courage to start a new business, or even people who are in a transition do they need to break up with their partner, or give up a job. Kambo is very good for that, because it gives you that push to take action in your life. It's very good for, like I say, mental clarity, for anxiety, depression. It's very good.
I will say I felt like I could feel a difference immediately. That
brings positivity.
Yeah.
It also works at a cellular, it crosses the blood-brain barrier. That's why the thought process can become clearer. At a physical level, we would say that it can help with chronic pain, because there's a peptide called deltorphin that works there. So even if people have had a car crash and they have pain since then, it's the trauma that's stuck there. Kambo can break through that. Through any surgery that there's the memory there, it will clear it. It can work with arthritis, with any autoimmune diseases.
So inflammation?
Inflammation. It also works because it flushes the blood. Many times there's stagnation, and women think that they're infertile, and it was just stagnation. And with Kambo, then they've been able to have babies. It helps with hormone balancing, endocrine system. I work with womb healing with Kambo, with women that came through it. Working with Kambo, I had the intuition, and I did it on myself, and it was outstanding. Not only at a physical level where my cycle synchronized with the moon at that time, and I started to have way lower PMS symptoms. Right now, my menstrual cycle is like, it just comes on, oh, here it is. It's very easy, I just don't feel much changes or shit. And that's when I understood, like, oh my goodness, women, in back home, it was always saying women are crazy. No, they're not. It's just a hormone imbalance.
But everyone's on birth control. That's a whole other topic for another podcast. But I wanted to say, after Kambo, for that like week, and even up until like a few days ago, I had never had that much discharge, which I think is good, because it's almost like it's like cleansing out of the system, but also clearing of, like, I felt like there was a lot of things that exited from my womb space.
We hold a lot of information in our wombs.
And it wasn't like what it normally looked like. It was like very thick and like
old, stagnant blood.
So because I've got my first cycle coming up like soon. And
let me know how that goes.
I will. I wanted to just ask you, you were we just spoke about the other medicine journey that let's just hop on there. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Is it Bufo?
Bufo alvarius.
Okay. Is that like the feminine frog medicine?
I could say so. Yeah, very, very interesting you've got there. Yeah, I would say so.
Just the way you described it, felt more like gentle. It's very much in like the.
It can be gentle, but it also is considered the most powerful entheogenic medicine on the planet, and it can be a very, very powerful experience. I also say that I've given the same quantity to this in a group, to the same quantity to everybody. Everybody's had a different experience. So the medicine knows what it's doing. It also depends on the openness. Like, I've even served Bufo to certain people and they just don't break through. They're just there, just present, and it's like, nope. It's just when you serve again and again, and then there's a moment it's like, okay, well, this is what you need right now. Then they have received benefits afterwards because it still works on your neural pathways. So how does that one differ from Kambo? So feel very grateful to work with both of them, because what I understood through my own process was that, okay, so Kambo is a physical reset, mainly, and Bufo is a neurological reset. One is the medicine of the body, the other one is the medicine of the soul. So together, it's a very complete process.
So I was saying, like the yin and the yang.
And Bufo is very different. You don't apply it like the secretion that it's a burn on the skin and it goes into your lymphatic system. Bufo is it's like crystals, like crystal flakes, and you with a blowtorch you burn that and you inhale the vapor into your lungs, and that's when you have you can have a dissolution experience. It's not psychedelic. It's to meet the divine within. So it's like really surrendering, because literally that's what happens when you die. 5-MeO DMT is released in your gut when you die, at that moment that you pass on. So that's what you're experiencing, and it takes you directly back to the source of all consciousness, your source consciousness. So that enters more into you, more of that consciousness, and that's why I say that your inner voice afterwards will become stronger. You have more presence, more detachment from reality, more acceptance. The aha tipi that they call it in Mexico, which is everything is perfect as it is.
I just want to ask, so how do you actually get Bufo? Like, does it come from also a frog as well? What?
It's a toad. So one is a frog, the other one is a toad.
So how do they harvest it? Because I understand they take the secretion of the green tree frog for the Kambo, but how does it work with the Bufo? So
the toad, like I mentioned to you, it's 9 months underground.
Yes.
Like pregnancy. Just imagine Mother Earth is gestating this beautiful medicine for us, and when it comes out in rainy season to eat, procreate, and there's thousands of them, and you have to catch them, and they have like these white glands that's like a pimple, and you squirt it on a glass, and then it crystallizes.
That is so interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So straight from the source, and then that's what you use, and you actually burn.
And you can have a very profound experience. I mean, there's very difference. Many people don't remember because the speed of Bufo's medicine is like the speed of light. I don't know. It's pure love, pure source consciousness. It's very, very high speed. You have an opportunity to clear the subconscious mind at a very, very, very deep level, but also like really a high speed. So some people, it's too much information, and the frontal cortex just blacks out. And some people don't remember. That doesn't mean it hasn't been working. And then in life, what happens is that you're in this high frequency, so things will react in your presence, and things will move very quickly. So I have people who tell me, like, I'm being faced with a certain shadow aspect of mine a lot, like it's overwhelming. I'm like, yes, but that's Bufo speed. So it's giving you the opportunity to really clear it fast in your life, so you can move forward, and then you also will move forward. I call it Bufo speed, so good things, unfold. It's like you impregnate yourself from that original energy that you come from before incarnation. So that aligns you very quickly with your path.
Unreal. My gut feels the exact same like it felt before Kambo. So. I suppose it's a yes at this point. It's like, I don't want to do it, but I know I need to do it.
Yeah. And it brings you a lot of, like, reminds you about the surrender and the sacredness of life, and that everything is sacred. Some people tell me, like, oh, I remember just a case. I was in Mallorca, and it was a private group, a medicine group, and I just wanted to. They gave me the contact, and I said, oh, my name is Sara, and I just want to post about Kambo. And privately, the guy that was from the group that organized that group, he reached out to me, and he was like, I don't think you should post this because medicines are sacred, and he started with all these judgments. And I said, do you know what? Actually, everything is sacred. And if we remembered that, things would be very different. How we treat each other, how the planet is treated, because we just consider certain things sacred. The incense, the crystals, the altar. But we are on the altar. And we are the candles and the medicine that's served on the altar. So everything, Bufo shows you that everything is sacred.
Even sharing your story on social media, like there's nothing wrong with that at all. I find there's when you do it with the right intentions behind it, there's so much that can shift when people view that. I mean, there's been so much in my journey that's also been helped by what I've seen on social media, because it's almost like a visual permission slip of like, oh, hey, it's okay. It's okay for you to want this. It's okay for you to see this, and like there's a different way of doing it than you thought. So it's really beautiful. Yeah. Do you have any more questions? Do you have anything you wanted to?
No, I'm just want to say I'm grateful for Kambo and Bufo, because thanks to Kambo I met you guys, and you also have an amazing story, and it just humbles me. It's like, wow, I'm so grateful to connect with people like you, that we see each other and we get each other, and that we can share our stories in this way, and that you have this amazing portal, and you made me feel so welcome. So thank you to Kambo, thank you to Bufo, and thank you, Nick, and thank you, Carissa.
Thank you. Really appreciate you being here. And just for everyone, listening, where can they find you if they want to connect with you? We'll have your details, below the podcast, and also on our website. But where can they?
Also, sorry, Sarah's going to be in Plettenberg Bay in February again for the Kambo ceremony. But you're based in Cape Town.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure that they know where you're based.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't have a website, because I normally work, like, I trust that Kambo Bufo bring me the right people, and I'm never bored. I'm busy. But I will have one in 2023, but for now they can find me on Instagram on Sara lowercase, is it called? No, lowercase, Sara lowercase Lady Frog.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here and for joining us.
Amazing.
Really appreciate
I really enjoyed it.
And your medicine, and thank you for sharing your magic.
Yeah, thank you too. Yeah.
And for really what you're doing for the world, and for the shifts that you're bringing to the people that move through your circle as well. So really just thank you for being the absolute gift that you are to the world. So yeah.
Thank you for that, because I'm like very committed. I always say, like, it's so interesting. It's Kambo and Bufo is the only things in my life that have really have my full attention and my commitment. You know, I've experienced many things. I tend to change and try one thing and then the other, and this is like there's no other way. I just don't want it any other way either. So yeah, thank you.
So if you're ready to just shift out of your comfort zone and you'd like to try something a little bit different, a little bit out there in the best of ways, then feel free to connect and reach out to Sara and take it from there. But until next time, hope you have a beautiful week, a beautiful weekend, and may 2022 end on a fantastic note for you. All right. Till next time.